Hey everybody, good morning. You ever notice like sometimes time just goes like really fast? Other times it's like you're like it hadn't even been like a minute passed by. And it's like sometimes it just like I don't know where this morning's gone already. But hey Ben, hey Goose, Kimberly. All right. Yeah, Kimberly's excited about the in-person event coming up starting tomorrow evening. So we've got the Turnmeyer Trading Lab VIP group coming to town. We're going to try to do the live stream with a live studio audience on Thursday and Friday. And so make sure you're subscribed. Hit the subscribe button over here in the corner. You can chat on the live stream with everybody. And while you're at it, hit the bell down below with the notifications and make sure you're subscribed. Coming up at 5 p.m., I have a request show, 30 minutes of awesome, where I'll take your requests. In the mornings, I don't really take ticker requests so much, but 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, today, I do. So make sure you set a phone reminder to come back and watch the stream because I can't take your requests if you're not here. So you got to make sure you're here. And yeah. So make sure you're subscribed so you can chat on the live stream with me right now while I'm live. If I'm no longer live, you'll have to leave a comment down below. And good morning. Morning, Nikki. Sorry you won't be able to make it. Michael, Don, Craig, Larry, David, Maurizio, Dex, Kevin, Donald, Francois, George, John. Welcome, everybody. Arturo, JB, Brian, George, Simonborn, Gary, Darren, PD, PM, PM. And welcome. Glad everybody can make it this morning. And the news of, I don't know, news of the night, news of the day, whatever, right here. Let's pop this up where you can see it. Look at this. Bitcoin Magazine was issuing, tweeted, xed, whatever, posted. I don't know what you call it anymore. Just in. This was from 8 p.m. last night and 33 minutes. So right at 8 o'clock last night, the SEC issued additional comments on spot Bitcoin ETF applicants' S-1 forms. More amendments are now expected tomorrow, which is today. They accepted stuff yesterday. They accepted stuff. They're going to accept more stuff today. What does that mean? It means there's no ETF approval today. If they're accepting amendments today, which, this was yet from yesterday at 8 p.m., they're going to accept amendments today. That means they've got to review them. We're getting close here. The 10th is the deadline for ARC. They have to make that decision on ARC on the 10th. Yay or nay? We'll see what happens. So, anyway, how soon, the question has been, how soon could we see an ETF hit the market? Probably the 11th. If you want to know. And yesterday we saw kind of quite the move. People got a little excited, especially because Mr. Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, was tweeting about Bitcoin, or about crypto, I guess. Yeah, that he tweeted a whole thread, and I don't know. I guess they just don't understand how this works. When they try to poo-poo crypto, the crypto, whatever you call them, the crypto knights, the people that really are into this stuff, it's like a big F you, man. And, it goes crazy. So we saw Bitcoin ripping after Mr. Gensler put those tweets out, and just ridiculous stuff. Anyway, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. I may never get this right again. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Don't buy stocks. Don't buy options. Don't buy Forex. Don't buy futures. Don't buy cryptos. Don't buy bonds. Don't long them. Don't short them. Don't sell them. Don't trade them. It involves a substantial risk of loss. All right. I'm not a personal financial advisor. I'm not giving you advice. If you desire personal financial advice, you got to hire and consult a financial advisor that has a fiduciary duty to give you advice based on your financial situation. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm just here to share what I'm doing and what I see in the market, which I get lucky often enough. Anyway, how about that yesterday? ES popped up right up to the level I was looking at. Poked just a little through. We put that fib line back on there. Apparently deleted it off. Go right from that high, right down to that low. Look where we stopped. Right in that spot. Right in that spot. And then turn back down. We got a little overexcited right into the close yesterday. Then drifting off right back down. We get below that roadmap line. Watch out below. Probably going on down. That's a 618 retrace. We could then essentially a measured bounce. And look, it was a 3-wave. 1, 2, 3. That can be acceleration lower. Now, a thing to watch. Go from the low to the high. Support at this point comes in right there. That's the support zone right now. Looking for that to hold. If it doesn't, this to hold. If it doesn't, we're going on down. Long and short, the long and short of it, that's how simple it is right now. So do we hold the roadmap line on a 30-minute or an hourly or they're all kind of in the same spot here. It's interesting when they're all at the same spot. Interesting for me. And maybe you don't think that way, but when they're all kind of in the same vicinity, and then we just, blur them up, that means they don't mean much. But that was 1, 2, 3, right up into the high. Funny enough, run the fib this way. Look at that, right to the one, just past the 1272. Almost got to a bullish 1618, but then stopped and started reversing. This ought to be interesting. We could go on down much further. Be careful out there today. I'm gonna throw that out there early. Yeah, see the S&P got up in there. Got really excited at that last close there. And then today we're gonna be back down in here. So be careful out there today. That's the big thing I want to say. And Bitcoin, got really excited yesterday. Pushed back out to a new high. Pushed out of the box. Right into the resistance zone between, I've got that line sitting right there at 49. 46 was the official price I'd said we'd hit for a long time. We kind of smashed through that a little bit yesterday, rallying on up to 47. Excuse me. And hey, peachy keen, baby. Everything looks pretty darn good. And but is this ETF approval thing going to be a sell the news? Like I said, we're not getting it today. They're going to accept amendments today. They accepted stuff yesterday. They put out comments. They're going to accept more stuff today. So we're not getting an ETF approval today. That leaves us with tomorrow, the 10th. Tomorrow is the 10th. That's the deadline for ARK. The SEC can't just say, well, we're going to wait a day. There are U.S. regulations that require them to make their final decision on ARK tomorrow. So this isn't like a we can wait a day situation. It's either going to be approved or denied tomorrow. It's not like widely anticipated or whatever. It's a regulatory requirement. For those of you that don't deal in regulations, sometimes when you submit things to certain government organizations, they have a legally required number of days to respond, and they have to make a final decision by that final response time window. For ARK's application for an ETF, that's January 10th, the final deadline. They can't say, yeah, give us another week. That doesn't work. So it's going to happen. That's why we got a little excited yesterday. We could get more excited today. We could see a super squeeze, supply squeeze. It could happen. Very well could happen. So, all right. Well, I mean, the SEC said they're accepting revisions today, so there's it's all but approved in some respects. You know, as I showed a minute ago, Bitcoin Magazine was reporting. I don't even know where that window went. It's like gone. I probably closed it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. It's underneath, right there. This was last night at 8 p.m. You know, more amendments are expected tomorrow, which is today, the 9th. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Unlikely we get an ETF approval today with more amendments coming in. Usually people will not be able to get that in first thing. You know, people probably worked all night trying to get this crap revised and deals done and whatever, and they'll probably be on it all day trying to get those amendments, whatever the final little details the SEC wanted. This is big business. Now, the other question is, how long is this like an immediate thing? No. Big money takes months to move, right? I mean, weeks to move at the minimum. So this is going to be a process where, yeah, they have to buy, they probably, to get the ETF out there, they already had to buy a chunk of Bitcoin. All right, that's probably already happened. That's probably already in here. They've probably already bought a chunk. Now, if they get huge demand based on the prospectus, they're going to have to buy more Bitcoin. All right, since they're spot ETFs, that means as the assets under management, AUM, increases for the ETF, they have to accumulate more Bitcoin. And that's kind of what the tie-up in the SEC has been, is that they want very few fingers in the pie. Just a couple approved participants that are allowed to transact the Bitcoin for the ETF. They want it very, very locked in. And that's been the debate that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, is defining who's allowed to transact the Bitcoin on behalf of the ETF. They don't want like a Sam Banker fraud where, you know, they can just decide, oh, we're going to use that Bitcoin to cover the trading over in our other arm, you know, across town, Alameda. You know, we're going to borrow the Bitcoin out of the ETF and go trade it over here, and then we'll put it back later. They don't want that, you know, Sam Banker fraud stuff, which is just good old-fashioned bank fraud. You can't just borrow money out of one account and go play with it in the other account. That doesn't work. So there's customer fund segregation for a reason. So anyway, so there's a dozen ETFs. They'll all be different in how they operate. All right, Darren. You know, if Darren asked, curious how the ETF may be denominated. We're talking about a dozen different ETFs potentially coming out. BlackRock, ARK, Fidelity, Valkyrie, Invesco, you know, all the, I mean, I can pop it up and read the whole list. Give me a second. Roll back up here. Let's see, where was it? A few days ago. Yeah, here. This is not a brand new current list. This is the list we've had going. This was from a couple weeks ago, when just right around Christmas time. So we've got Grayscale, which is converting from a trust to an ETF. We've got ARK right there. Their tickers right here that have already been approved by DTCC. Not everybody's going to get approved on the first round. So we got iShares, we got Bitwise, we got VanEck, we got WisdomTree, Invesco, and you can see the companies behind them: Grayscale, ARK, BlackRock, Bitwise, VanEck, WisdomTree, Invesco, Galaxy, Fidelity, Valkyrie, GlobalX, Hashdex, Franklin, Pando, 7RCC. Some of these you recognize from other ETFs, maybe. And, you know, BlackRock, IBIT, ARK. Those are the two big ones. VanEck, HODL. Wisdom Tree is another big one. And Valkyrie. Valkyrie's been jumping through the hoops. They've been right there with BlackRock trying to get their ETF in the first approvals. All right. These ones that say cash creation, that's what the SEC is requiring. They don't want in kind. As of, this was from the 20th, I think. No, 25th, 24th. I think I found this on the 24th. They said they didn't want these in-kind transactions. They only wanted cash transactions, and they wanted it by approved participants. So we'll see what happens. But there you go. That's how many ETFs. So like you're like, well, what's the ETF going to be like? Well, there's a whole bunch of different flavors. All right. It's kind of like, yeah, they're all vanilla ice cream, but I don't know if you've tried vanilla ice cream from a bunch of different people. They don't all taste the same. Vanilla ice cream is not vanilla ice cream. So a Bitcoin ETF is not a Bitcoin ETF all over the place. Some of these will be better than others. We'll see how it goes. BlackRock's got a lot of ETFs. Valkyrie's got a lot of ETFs. Global X has a lot of ETFs. Some of these, I'm not so sure. VanEck even got a lot of ETFs. Some of these aren't names I recognize, though. They may manage plenty of ETFs. There's a gazillion of them. So, all right. Any questions before we move on? It's going to be a major thing in the Bitcoin realm because all of a sudden this opens up retirement accounts, not just retirement accounts like you and I, managing on our own. We're talking about like retirement systems, like California that's borrowing $30 billion to keep themselves solvent. They'll all of a sudden be able to buy into an ETF and hold Bitcoin, trade in and out of it if they want to. And they're going to allocate millions of dollars to this. You got, teachers' retirement systems in 50 states. You've got, all sorts of government employee retirement systems. You got company retirement systems. All of those all of a sudden open up. And if BlackRock helps them manage, BlackRock's probably going to be the ETF that BlackRock advises that they buy into. So that's why it's important. BlackRock widely speculated to manage like 11 to 12 trillion dollars of retirement money. So that's a lot of money, especially when we look at the value of Bitcoin right here. The market cap, $919 billion. What happens if 900 billion more dollars flows into Bitcoin? The price is going to go up. That's for sure. So, all right. Yeah, JPM is an approved participant. Fidelity is going to run their own. Fidelity runs a lot of retirement accounts. JPM's an approved participant by several of the applicants. So, they're going to be able to hold those ETF shares on their balance sheet, whereas regulatorily, can't say that word, by regulation, they're not allowed to hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet of a bank. They're just not. So if you're a bank with customers, you cannot hold crypto on your balance sheet. But you can hold ETFs. So they're going to be allowed to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet through the ETF. You may be like semantics, whatever, but this could be pretty big. And now I kind of speculate that we're going to see us sell the news. We're likely to, it's kind of like excitement. Oh, we see this all the time in the market where it's like, oh, the event happened. It wasn't awesome. And then we see some selling. Do we come back to the roadmap line? Do we come back a little lower? I could easily see us coming back to the roadmap line right around 36 at this point, and possibly on down to 30, where we kind of broke out from that July high. Could easily see that coming back to here, retesting that zone ahead of the halving event. Now, that's the main event, all right? ETF approval, that's just the excitement right now. Halving event, that's the big event, all right? That's the big catalyst coming up. And like I've said for weeks now, months, I think we're likely to get a pullback in Bitcoin into that halving event. If you're unfamiliar with the halving event, right here, we've got 14,994 blocks. A block happens about every 10 minutes. That means 101 days. 101 days to the halving event. And that's where miners get paid. Right now, miners get paid 6.25 block Bitcoin when they mine a block. After the halving event, they'll get 3.125 blocks, or 3.125 Bitcoins per block that they mine. And we'll mine at that 3.125 payout, we'll mine 210,000 blocks, take about 4 years, and then we'll have again. All right. There you go. I have no opinion on that, Alejandro, right now. No opinion. So there you go. If you want to see this, it's just bitcoinhalving.com. If you want to see this right here, they have some kind of contest going. But I just use it as a clock right there. Countdown to it. So, well, block number 840,000 is the next halving. Then we'll add 210,000 to it. So it'll be 1,050,000. 1,050,000 will be the next block that we have a halving event. That'll be out probably in 2028. So we'll go through a 4-year cycle. That's why Bitcoin does the 4-year cycle, that halving cycle. We'll get probably really excited, hit new highs, probably into 25, maybe 26. Then we'll go into a crypto winter, likely 26 through 27, make a bottom, and then we'll start rallying again into the 2028 halving event. That's just likely what's going to happen. Just laying it out there for you, way ahead. You got 4 years now. 4 years of roadmap on Bitcoin. All right. Moving on. It's really up to you. What coin wallet do you want? I don't endorse any products really. I'm not giving advice. All right. So S&P down a little bit. Imagine that. Getting rejected off that 618. Do we hold it? Do we fold it? I don't know. We'll see. Coming down to that 30-minute roadmap line. Right there. If we bounce, we break out over this high. At this point, I mean, this is the line in the sand at this point, like very defined. We get through that today. The target is right up here, 48.24, 70% likely. 70% likely to do that if we get above that high from yesterday. If we get below here, we're going to go retest the bottom at the minimum and probably extend lower. That simple. Comes up like this, like this, like this, probably going down into this zone at the minimum right in here. And if we get to the 1618, we're probably going to do, that'll be a 5 down, probably get a 3-wave retrace on a bigger time frame, and we'll probably go down again after that 3-wave retrace. So if we get down below this level right here, we're probably going to do a bigger, deeper correction. And it's probably going to take most of January, if not into February. All right. That's the S&P 500 for you. NASDAQ is kind of on a very similar path at this point. Very, very similar. And if you're unfamiliar with the futures, we didn't even hit the 618 yesterday. So S&P got a little overexcited. The S5FI cranking back over 90. And NASDAQ less excited. It may go down to that roadmap line on the daily. And I told a few people just to chill out. They were like worried. They were thinking they got to liquidate my positions that I had on some short tech. I was like, just be careful. This is the kind of situation where you get whipsawed when you come up just shy of the 618. And when if you're like, how do you trade NQ, right? It's just QQQ. Look right there, same situation. We came up just shy of that 618. Zoom it out just a little bit right there. Came up just shy and rolling over just like on the futures. All right. Why do I use the futures? Because it gives me a little more data overnight. A little more data. The QQQ actually stops trading from about 8 p.m. to about 4 a.m. Whereas the futures just keep on trucking. They don't close, but for an hour, right between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, Russell looking a little more bearish. Certainly didn't get that 618 retrace. Not even close. Not even. That was like a miserable attempt compared to S&P and NASDAQ. Looks like we may be on the path lower at this point. Oil getting a nice bounce today. Still hanging in that little micro channel I was talking about yesterday. Wedgie channel thing. Can we break out of this thing or not? We kind of glanced off the top and dropped yesterday. People were like, oh my gosh, sky is falling. But it made a higher low. So just chill out. This thing is bottoming. Now, if it breaks out below the lows that we've had the last couple months, we're probably extending down to the mid 60s, if not the 50s. But if we break out of this little weird consolidation thing, probably coming right up here to the roadmap line on the daily. We get above that, we're going up probably into the hundreds. Becomes that simple. All right. Don't caught up, if you're trading for a big macro pattern, don't get caught up in the micro. We'll probably come up here. We'll probably retrace, hold a 618. That'll give you an opportunity to buy whatever position, and then we'll probably go. Right now, it's funky. Could it just rip? Yeah, it could. But it's probably going to move up here, probably going to retrace, and then go. Gold is, it saved that. Saved the trend line. Look at that yesterday. Closed just above the trend line. Today getting a little green. Watch out for a close below that trend line. If we get below that, we're coming on down here. Bitcoin, we already talked about ad nauseum. Ethereum looking a little more bearish. If we get below, same as gold here, if we get below this trend line, we've dipped below it a couple times, but we haven't really closed below it. If we get a close below it, watch out, baby, we're going down. Now, why do I use the futures instead of the spot? Because spots are all islands. They're independent prices depending on the broker. Sure, there's arbitration and balancing between them, but futures is a certified price by the CME. So I just like to look at the futures because they're consistent. Dollar is still working on going down. We're holding that trend line. If we get through it, we're going up to the roadmap line. If we don't, probably coming on down to the 90s. Get below the low from back here in the summer, probably coming on down to the mid 90s. Now, what's actually moving today on the list? SRPT, biotech pharma. If you don't know how I feel about that, well, welcome to the conversation. I don't care for biotech pharma, and this is a downtrend at this point, even though it shows, unless you know something that all the rest of us don't know and you're not supposed to tell, don't trade biotech. You're just setting yourself up for getting ripped. I mean, some people can roll the dice and get lucky. That's not me. I don't trade things like that. All right. FDA approvals, denials, mergers, acquisitions, all that crap that goes on. I just don't like to play in that game. I like to play the stuff that's more reliable, where I can just make money on the chart patterns. So, Juniper, nice pop. Really nice pop. I don't know what, I didn't see any news come across my, not sure what happened there. Probably some kind of something, some kind of deal. That looks like a deal of some sort. But we're right up to these highs. Watch out. We can certainly retrace that gap back down. Yeah, buyout offer. That's what I figured. Some kind of deal. That looked like a deal. So watch out for that. If the deal comes apart, they're going back down. Match.com. That looks like a dumpster fire, doesn't it? Whew. Popping up above the roadmap line. We've done that before. Golly. What makes them turn around now? I think they're probably heading down to 20 maybe. If they don't, I mean, we got to get higher highs here. So we've got resistance right there from back in the summer. We've got resistance right here from this time last year. Looking for love, get a little rally, and then after Valentine's Day, it looks like takes a drop. So is this just the seasonal pop before we get the further drop? Quite possibly. Nothing positive there. Looking, actually looks like a giant dumpster fire. I mean, look at that. High of 180 to 40. Ugh. It's been as low as 27. It might go down into the 20s. CRWD keeps popping targets. 275 on the upside there. That's the next target up. Looking pretty good. 275 is the next extension. Look at those gaps too. Whew. People are excited about that one. Eventually, the excitement's going to wear off, and we're going to come back to reality, back to the roadmap line. But right now, excitement's still going. We can still climb the fib lines. 275, 289, 297, 319. Probably hit a wall as we approach the prior high. So be careful if we get up near 300. OPRX. Right up to resistance. We can make some higher highs. Maybe retrace. Make a higher low. Hold some support and then break higher. That would be beautiful. Otherwise, I mean, this is going to be packaged software, but I'm guessing Optimize RX, that it's biotech pharma related too. So be careful. Looks like we've had some consolidations before and then dropouts. So got excited, drop down, gap down. Got excited, fill the gap, drop down, gap down. This is kind of a pattern. You see it? Get excited, drop down, gap down. Get excited, drop down, gap down. Get excited, fill the gap. Do we drop down and gap down? There's not much left on the bottom, so be careful. My lung keeps growling when I breathe in. STNG. I don't even know what to say. I mean, spike, drop, spike, drop, spike, drop, spike. Probably coming back down. I mean, it wasn't a sneeze. It was a cough. It was a cough. My lung was growling when I breathed in there. Left over the flu crap. BTBD. Absolute garbage. Look at that. Look at gappy, gnarly crap. Under $10. Low price stuff. And there it goes again. Breathing deep. ASML. Keep fighting with the regulators. Is there like a, what do you call it? Norwegian, I guess you call it. They're a chip fab producer. They produce the fabrication equipment for chips. The government put out, back here, the government said, we're going to put export restrictions on our equipment. We don't want this to just go to wherever. And so we got this pullback. And yesterday we were rallying a little bit, pulling back a little more. So this is tracking who's who in biotech probably harder than watching reality TV. Do you really want to mess around with that? I mean, you could spend a lifetime just chasing down biotech stuff, and unless you're in the industry, it's just dangerous to play that game. I don't like to focus there. That's not what I find fun. I'm not saying it's not fun for you. Maybe that's what you enjoy. So chip fab stuff, we may be on a path back to the roadmap line, holding a higher low. It's like I talk about, we get excited. At some point, the lights come on at the bar. The ones you're dancing with aren't as pretty as you thought. And we tend to decline. You get kind of bummed out. Then we find support, and then we get excited again. Then we go out drinking again and go, Anyway. NARI. Just looks kind of like a downtrend, and that's medtech, biotech, pharma. But why do you want to invest in that? Like, why would you want to play with that? The trend is down, right? I mean, this is very clear. Downtrend. It's volatile, but it's a downtrend. What would you expect? That's what I would expect. Netflix. Oh, came up just shy of the gap fill again. Come on, man. Come on, man. I have a share riding on this, filling that gap. Bought it back here at 400. Gonna sell it at 5. I think 515 is my order. Maybe 505. Hey, maybe like, you can't play shares and make money. That's 25% gain. And I only bought it right back here in October, November. I mean, come on. There's no theta on shares. So sometimes it works. SOXX, doing pretty good. Probably coming back to the roadmap line. FNGU, looks like, and just churning. Maybe come back to the roadmap line. That'll flow with FANG. That's leverage too. Be careful on leverage. Cyber Arc Software. Well, that's been volatile. Nice pop. Let's see. Run this from the high to the low. Yeah, resistance at 228, possibly 263. Right there. Right there. And this may do this. Then this. Then this. Retest the breakout right there before it goes higher. That might be what it does. Could just come up here and consolidate and then pop. Or it could just blast on up. Yeah, could just go right up there. But unlikely to go much higher than that without coming back to that little orange line I put on the chart. All right. Why doesn't anyone mention the Lily? Because it's not doing anything today. I talk about Lilly plenty often, but it's not very interesting today. GLP-1 drugs just kind of consolidating. They needed a break after the monster run they've been on. GFRS kind of dropping back. Microchip back to the roadmap line. If it can hold support there, we can go higher. Needs to break back above that consolidation right there. I use a scanner. See, is it on this? No, I don't have it loaded up. Let me pull it up. I'll pull up the scanner real quick and show you where all this list comes from. Since you want to know, you're like, why don't you talk about XYZ? It's in my links for stuff channel if you're in Discord. Under the pre-market movers. And hide my personal information, and right here, this page, it's marketchameleon.com, reports, pre-market trading, and I come down here and sort these by stuff that's moving $2 or more, pre-market. I do this at like 9 o'clock in the morning, so the list now is a little different than it was then. I grab pretty much everything that's $2 or more off this list, both up and down, put it on the list, and that's the list. That's how I build the list for today. This is stuff that's kind of interesting and moving. Now, some of the stuff is more interesting than others, like that one's moving $2 on 6,000 shares before the market, but, versus something that's moving 10 million shares and moving 240. But that, STNG, that chart just looked horrible anyway. So some stuff is day trader paradise. Other stuff is actual stuff we can look at. Actual stuff that might be interesting. And that's where the list comes from. So microchip actually looks like a potential opportunity coming up. LABU, that's a biotech leveraged thing coming up to test that trend line. We get above it, we could go higher. But when you zoom out and look at it, the long-term bias is pretty bearish on biotech. We get some crazy spikes, but it's been lackluster for a couple of years now and still looking lackluster. Ever since rate raises, look, we got really, when the money started getting tight, this thing started getting tight and kind of drifting down pretty consistently. What do you expect to happen here? More tightness, more drifting down. Of course, we got to go to a log scale. And God, love it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. There you go. That's a pretty consistent drift off when you put it on a log scale and take into consideration the splits and stuff. Now, could it break out and go on a run? Sure. Is money super expensive right now and most biotechs run at a loss? Yeah. Why is JT against biotechs? Because all the reasons I've already said. PDD. It's kind of like gambling. I mean, let's be honest. They don't disclose a lot of the stuff until they get FDA approvals or denials, unless, like I said, unless you got connections. That's not me. I don't have connections in biotech. PDD, likely to keep going sideways until we meet up with the roadmap line sometime over here, or we just drop out and get a correction. Unlikely to go a lot higher. Yeah, this is kind of like we got super excited, then the lights came on at the bar. We're just kind of like, we may drop back. ES, energy source, Eversource Energy. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Bounced off the roadmap line. It's not magic. I don't go looking for these things. I didn't even pull this up. So we've got support right here at that level. We get below that, 70% likely to go down here. And we've done that before. We've done that before. Done that before. This one looks like it's going down, down, down. TXN, Texas Instruments, potentially bullish. Watch for that move up through 170, 175, 179 on the upside. And it doesn't even have to make a new high to do that. So that could still be part of the downtrend. I mean, is it high probability to make a bunch of money? No, but you could play that volatility on this one, play that move up into here, and it can still hit resistance and go down, and you'd be out of the way. So bounced off the roadmap line, potentially going up to 175, 179 once it clears 170. DPST is also looking kind of potentially bullish. Be careful. Got financials coming up on Friday. You don't know. We've got bank earnings coming up, and pull up the. Oh, I didn't bookmark it. That was stupid. There it is, right there. Right here are the earnings for the week. Funny enough, Tilray and a bunch of these didn't even make the list this morning. Got AEHR coming up after the close. WD-40. And name me 5 other products that WD-40 makes besides WD-40. I can't do it. But banks coming up on Friday. JP Morgan, United Healthcare, Delta, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, Bank of Mellon, or BNY Mellon. That kicks off Q1 earnings right there. So money flows into banks ahead of bank earnings, and then watch out. So we've seen money flowing in, but now it's kind of like coming up on that bank earnings. Get a little we see KRE, it's a very similar pattern, and FAS actually keeps climbing. So money's flowing into bigger banks, not so much the regionals. Interesting. Baidu just keeps consolidating right there. We can break above that roadmap line. We can go on for bigger targets. IWM, it has the perfect, or has a near perfect nested measure bounce. This was a measure bounce. This is a measure bounce. Smaller scale. If it can get going, it's potentially a big trade. IWM looks like it wants to come back to the roadmap line, as I talked about on Russell up here. This is the ETF for RTY. And BNTX, BioNTech. The FDA could just regulate some of these out of business here. There's debate on mRNA vaccines getting, I've heard rumblings that they may get banned until there's a lot more proof that they work. But then again, you have these COVID vaccines that keep coming out. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up in this crap. So I would watch out for that, though. QCOM. Yeah. Right there. That's what I expect to happen. Could it find a bottom and extend? Sure. But more likely to come back to the roadmap line. No high probability trade on that right now. Apple. It's like QCOM's biggest, I don't know. Whatever. Apple looks like it may do this. Cautious. I'd be highly cautious on Apple at the moment. That looked like a W. That looked like an X. This looks like it would be a Y. And we may see that 5-wave move down on Apple, down into that 150 area. Yep. Anyway, bias for the day. Very, very cautious. I kind of outlined the support resistance earlier. Right here, just a summary again for you. If we break out of the high from yesterday, 48.25 is the upside target on S&P. If we get below this roadmap line zone right around 47.27, if we get below that area, below 47.20, probably coming back to the lows from yesterday, or from Friday, excuse me, 46.85 area. We get below that 46.80 area, probably coming on down to at least 46.30, if not extending on down to 45.85 area down here. So what do I expect today? Playing inside this range. If we can get out of it, right now I just expect us to hang out in that range that we made yesterday. If we get out of it, up, there's your target. We get below it, down, here's your target. Otherwise, playing in the box. All right, any questions? No? All right, I'll be live again, 5 p.m. And come hang out with me. I need people like you to make requests so we can have content at the 5 p.m. 30 Minutes of Awesome show. Microchip setting up for a big opportunity? Maybe, maybe not. Pull back to the roadmap line? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. We have a potential upside for Microchip and TXN. So if I said anything that was helpful, beneficial, informative, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys 5 p.m. today. And if you can't make it 5 p.m. today, 9:15 tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll go through it all again. Find out what's moving. Talk about the day. Maybe we'll have some ETF approval news for Bitcoin.